like, if you're going fishing, you're taking him, you ain't going unless you take him. So he was sort of like, I had no choice really.
Yep.
And that's where it all started. Do you know what I mean? My old man taking me, my old man doing all different things, manner of things, and I was with him all the way. So that's where it all started. But I then got into when I got a bit older, I got into match fishing.
Okay.
So I got into match fishing and sort of started doing all right in that. Like, at first I was just entering matches, like men's. I was only sort of like 14, 15, and I was entering the matches, but not going into the prize money.
Yeah.
So what they'd do is I'd have to draw last. I'd have the last peg in the bag, whatever the last swim. Sometimes it was a good one. It was just the luck of the draw, do you know what I mean? But I was never allowed to draw my swim until, I wasn't allowed to draw basically, because I wasn't in the prize money. So I was just to get whatever swim was left. But like I say, a lot of the time I used to get a good swim, And it wasn't until I started framing in these matches against these men that I started actually going into the pools, and actually going for it properly.
Okay, excellent.
And then that sort of fizzled out after, once I sort of like started driving and girls, and it is.
Yeah. That goes on like that, doesn't it?
Yeah. And then obviously I got a dog, and then from there I couldn't really go match fishing. I was taking Bullseye, and I was taking him like course fishing, like pleasure fishing, like pole fishing and things. When I was shipping my pole back, he was trying to bite it, and he wouldn't keep still. He was like just wanting to have a little wander around, and I'm sitting on a box by the edge of the water, and it was just a nightmare. And in the end, I just was like, I'd always done a bit of carp fishing with my old man, and when I was younger, I used to love it. I used to go carp fishing with my mates like every weekend. But before I got into the sort of match fishing side of it. But yeah, in the end, I remember I was like, mate, I'm going carp fishing. I had nothing. I was using 2 match reels, little match reels with like 8-pound main line. I'd borrowed 2 carp rods off of a friend. I was using a pop-up tent, literally, like one of them ones you throw up. And I had no alarms, and I was sitting up all night, just catching them. And mate, honestly, I caught more fish then at times than I do now.
Yeah.
I'm not even, honestly, mate, like I used to sleep on the floor. Me and Bullseye had a sleeping bag. It was just in the summer. This was like, we used to sleep on the floor in the tent, and we used to have it off, mate. At the time I had no money or anything, like I was a bit down in life, and that's why obviously I had no tackle, but I was going out. I wanted to go fishing. Do you know what I mean? And carp fishing was the one thing I could do where I could chill out with the dog, because I couldn't do it when I was course fishing.
Yeah, so you mentioned Bullseye. Who's this legendary Bullseye the carp dog then?
Well, that's just my dog, mate. I've got 3 dogs, but Bullseye is my dog. I've got 2 bitches, which basically they pretty much stay at home and guard the house pretty much. But Bullseye is literally by my side, and pretty much everywhere I go, like to the point where he'll sleep. He sleeps by my bedside. But if I take me like t-shirt off at night and leave me t-shirt on the floor, he'll sleep on my t-shirt. He won't sleep he won't sleep on his bed. He'll sleep on my t-shirt all night. Like. Yeah. But so I can't leave him, mate. If I go fishing anywhere that don't allow dogs, my missus is ringing me, telling me he's just doing a heading because he's just crying, sitting at the door crying. I put a green jumper on. It's game over, mate. He's literally on me heels the whole time. He thinks, mate, he knows, mate. If I start pissing around with a bit of tackle, he knows straight away, like, where he thinks he's going, even if we end, I have to tell him.
Yeah. But what a companion for fishing though, mate, yeah?
Mate, honestly, like, he's 10 and a half now, and I've had him down the lake with me since he had his jab. Since he was allowed to go out, he's been with me. Yeah. And I've never had to tie him up. I do on lakes, obviously, where they ask you to keep him on a lead and whatever else. But generally, from a pup where I was fishing, you weren't actually allowed dogs on this lake that I was fishing. But I was doing at the time, I wasn't doing a great deal with my life. I weren't a very good time in my life, and I was fishing a lot. Like I probably done I was doing fortnight blocks Like I was fishing a lake just down the road from my house. I was going home and having a shower and sorting myself out and whatever else. But I was doing like 12 nights at a time.
Yeah.
And you know, I sort of like he was never allowed dogs down there, but because he was so small and such a puppy, such a small pup, I used to fish right over the back out the way from everyone, and no, I never used to get any bother. And I was down there for months to probably pay their mortgage on the land every month for about 3 months. So they turned a blind eye to me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, Bully, he comes to work. He comes to work and we go fishing. You know, he sits in the van all day.
He just chills out, doesn't he?
He does, mate. Yeah, like as long as he knows where I am and I'm not far, like he's happy to sit on the drive on the job or whatever, and he'll just sleep all day. Let him out at 10, let him out at 1. A lot of the time he don't want to get out, leave the door open, and he just gets back in the van like he's like kennel, it's like a safe place.
Me alone. I want to sleep.
Yeah. And like I say, man, he's been with me through thick and thin. He's seen pretty much every big fish I've ever caught. He's done so many nights. That dog is unreal. He's done it.
My chinchilla would do that.
Yeah. They are.
Anyway, you're talking about match fishing when you've done that, yeah? So, Farlow's match. Fishing match. What happened there, mate? It's something that I've wanted to go back and do for a little while, but when I come away from the match fishing, it was still kind of in me blood. I started carp fishing, but I'd always wanted to go and do a carp match, and that Farlow's match come up. They do a doubles match and a singles match. I don't know whether they're still doing it now. I'm not sure. I'm not sure whether they still do it or not, but they were doing it. But it's like me and my old man went and had a go at it, and I can't remember how many people fished in there. It's about 50 people, I think. It's like 50 anglers. I think it was 50 anglers. But yeah, it was a draw, so it weren't like a watercraft sort of match. You drew a swim, and that was it. You know, that was your swim, like a normal match would be, like in the normal match world. You know. Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, Dad drew rubbish. He had a rubbish draw. He drew round in the pads, which is like good for a bite when they're in there. If they're not in there, it's no good. And they put about 5 or 6 anglers in there, and really when you got opportunities in there when it's like there's no one in there, or maybe just one other angler, do you know what I mean, and they're in there, too over pressured, they was just done, he might as well have not bothered fishing, sort of thing. That was just writ off. But I drew a decent swim, but again, like, we were struggling a little bit on there before, and in the practices and stuff, we went down and had a practice in that, because it ain't an easy lake, mate, Farlow's. As much as you see it online and stuff, a lot of fish get caught, and there's hits of fish get caught. You don't see all the people that go out that gate that haven't caught. Because there's lots of them, mate. You know, like even myself, like I was struggling down there for a while until you kind of click with the place. But so anyway, the match. I was struggling the first day. I hadn't caught anything, and there was fish on me, Eric. You know, like I had fish all over me, but I couldn't get a feeding response. But it turns out they were tuned in on worm. Okay.
Yeah, there was nothing, like, you're not allowed to use worm down there, but in this match you was, which I was never aware of this. I just missed it on the rules. I'd never see that you was allowed to use worm and caster. So I found this out like halfway through the match. Like, some lad walk round, and he said, because there was a bloke, he had about, I think he must have had about 15 fish on the first day.
Yeah.
He literally just run away with the match instantly from the minute, and I couldn't see him, but I could see his spot, and I knew every time he'd caught one, I was just watching the spawn going out.
Right.
And I didn't know what he was doing, and I wasn't far away from the bulk of fish that he was catching. He was right on him, and I was just on the edge of him, but I had him showing on me, and it was very frustrating. You know, I was trying all sorts, mate. I couldn't get a bite. But they were clearly there, and they weren't moving either. It was just something I needed to do. It was just something. But like I say, this guy come round and he told me what the guy was doing, and he was like, yeah, he's catching on worm. He was like, I'm in a rubbish swim. I've got 3 key of worm. Do
you want to buy a key? And I was like, yes, because obviously the complex has got angling direct on it, so like you can buy worm from it, but but it's mad. You can buy worm from the shop, but it's not part of the lake, if that makes sense. The people that work in a shop don't run the lake; they just run the tackle shop.
Yeah.
So there's bailiffs and that, and obviously you're not allowed to use the worm on site. So you can use worm, you can buy worm from there, but you have to take it off site. Do you know what I mean? And obviously on that match, everyone had bought the worm. So this lad's like, yeah, I'll give you some worm. And he come back about 3 or 4. I didn't think he was going to come back. And he come back and he showed me what he was doing with it and this, that and the other. And I put it to work. I done what he told me to do. I put it out on the spot that I was fishing. And 1 o'clock in the morning, I had my first bite. So obviously I got till 12 o'clock the next day and it's game over.
Yeah.
And I hadn't had a fish. It's like I've got, do the maths, it was around 12 hours left, you know.
Yeah.
It was 11 hours left. I had a bite at 1 o'clock in the morning, and I had a 30, and it put me at that one fish, because I say it fished hard. There's 50 anglers in the match, and it was only about, I think there was 10 on the leaderboard, but a lot of them were only one fish. There was like two or three lads that had multiple fish, but the rest of them were all just single fish kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that 30 put me into 7th.
Okay.
So I was like, I was happy with that, mate. Do you know what I mean? Considering I was struggling, I'd had a 30, I was chuffed. Do you know what I mean? Like, I was happy with that. If I stayed there, I was fine with that.
You're there thinking, well, ain't nothing happening here, and past it happens like that. You know?
Yeah.
Great, isn't it?
Yeah, and then obviously, so I'm looking at it, I'm all buzzing. I'm like, what? It's 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. And I'm sitting there, and I can't sleep. Do you know what I mean? And I'm sitting there.
Nothing new there, though, is there?
Say that again, mate.
There's nothing new there, though, is there?
No, and that's it. Yeah. Well, that's it. Yeah, I'm always up at them times anyway. But so anyway, I was sitting there and I'm looking at the leaderboard. I'm like, mate, I only need like a 15-pounder to put me in the prize money. Because they only paid top 5, and then between 6th and 10th was prize money. So I was in the sorry, not prize money. It was prizes. 6th to 10th was prizes. Sorry, so they paid top 5. But anyway, I thought, mate, I only need one fish. I didn't get another bite like through the night. It comes around to the morning. Dad's packed up. He's come sat round in my swim. He's like, I had a dream last night. You had another bite right at the last knockings. And we were sitting there, right, and it was 20 minutes to go. It was literally 20 minutes to go. My old man's like, you're going to get a bite in a minute, I'm telling you. And mate, when I say the rod was just one-toned, ripped off 20 minutes before the end of the match, and I had like a scrape. Yeah, mate, honestly. And I had a scrape of 20, and it put me into 4th place, bruv. And I was like, no way, we couldn't believe it, mate. I ended up winning like 350 quid, I think I won.
Okay, that's quality, mate, isn't it?
Yeah, but it was like a proper. But that's the only match I've fished. I haven't fished another one, but my mate's been trying to get me to go out to Crete Lakes and do that doubles and singles thing. And
yeah.
But I'll be honest with you, mate. I just wanted to like just go fishing and not worry about.
It's crazy, though, anyway. Crazy how it goes, isn't it?
Yeah, there's people I know, man, that are really wrapped up in all that kind of in that match fishing thing, which is cool, man. It is cool, but I'll be honest with you, there's too many people for my liking.
Right, moving on, Brad.
Yes, moving on.
Mate. What is your fishing style? I.e., how do you get your timing?
You mean like on the bank?
Yes, mate.
Yes. Well, I'll be honest with you. I'm a midweek angler. You won't really catch me at weekends unless I'm pushing it with the missus. Friday nights you might catch me out on the bank, or a Sunday night. But generally, mate, I've got 2 kids and 3 dogs and whatever else, and weekends is sort of like family time. But during the week it's catching carp and cutting wood, pretty much. Earning money and catching carp. So because I work all over the place, I've got a few lakes that sort of are near where I'm working. If I'm not working near home, I've got a lake sort of like that I can drop onto, you know. And like I say, I do in the summer in the summer I do like a Monday night or a Sunday night, Tuesday night, Sunday night, Tuesday night, Thursday night. That's what I normally do in the summer, just because I like to go home in between my sessions because it's too hot and sticky, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's horrible, mate. I can do one night. I mean, even a day's graft and then down the lake for the night, I still have to have like a bottle wash or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Like I have to.
Yeah.
When you're on site and that, do you know what I mean? You've got to have some kind of wash in it. It's, you know, when you're sitting
Some
there.
kind of normality, isn't it? Yeah.
But in the winter, I've been known to not come home all week.
What is your fishing style then?
I'll be honest, mate. I have to find. I know obviously it's all about finding fish and getting on fish, but
Yeah.
I have sort of like 12 hours to make it happen each session, you know, and that is so like that's my kind of style. So I know like chasing them round the pond through the night is kind of a normal night for me. At times, you know. In regards to style, I'm more of a one rod in the right place is better than 10 in the wrong.
Yes, 100% agree with that, yeah.
And where I've only got 12 hours to sort of make it happen, one rod's enough, you know. You start putting 2 or 3 out, you know, you're sort of looking at, I don't know, I just think you're lessing your chances at times, you know, like, especially when you're on riggy, spooky fish. Shallow fish, the lake I'm fishing is really shallow, you know, and like bait spoon and castings. Just, I mean, you can get rigs on them, but I mean, they don't like it, you know, and they will just move off you instantly. So I mean, I'm on the barra, lightweight. I'm always forgetting everything because I've got minimal stuff with me, like.
Yeah.
My mates say to me, like, I don't understand how you don't have, like, how have you left that home? I'm like, because I'm sitting in my front room and I take everything out of everywhere and I spread it across the floor and I go, right, well, I haven't used you in a month. And I slim down to the point where I'm the bare minimum and there's something I need and I ain't got it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like carrying.
I think, you know, I used to do that sort of thing years ago myself, to be fair with you, when I used to go to the canals quite a bit when I was younger, and I used to obviously take bare minimum up there with me. So
that's it, mate. You know, like
I mean, a lot of that back in the day.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that is my style, mate. During the week, I get on the lake sort of like 5 o'clock, and I'm off the lake, depending on whether there's fish showing on me or there's signs of a bite or it's looking good. Then I'll sack it off until 10 o'clock. But normally, mate, if there's not showing signs or it's not going to happen, I can generally tell, you know, there's ways around that. But yeah, that's my style, mate, pretty much.
Well, moving on then, we're going to move on to this subject now with you, actually. Tell us about your ADHD. Do you think fishing helps you with it?
Yes. It drives me mental, though. Fishing and ADHD is a good
combination.
Yeah, well, it is, but it's...
And it is, yeah.
Yeah, it just, like, I don't know, man, it takes over. It takes over. I mean, I think it gives me the drive 100%, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it gives me the energy, do you know what I mean? Like, I won't rest, mate, you know, like, when I'm not on the bank and I'm at home, as soon as I've put bait on a spot, even if I go and pre-bait a spot, that's it. My mind's elsewhere the whole time. I mean, I'm at work sitting there thinking, I wonder if they've been on it, or do you know what I mean? I can't stop thinking about it. I think it gives me all these crazy ideas because I come out with these mad ideas of doing things that no one else has done.
Yeah, but I think, you know, with the ADHD, if people don't really understand it, your brain never shuts off. That's what it is, you know?
Yeah.
You're always thinking ahead, you're always thinking forward to the next thing, before you've even done the first thing.
Yeah.
You know?
But I'll be honest, sometimes I'm my worst enemy, though. You know, like, I really am. Like, I do sometimes really have to sit there sometimes and go with your gut. Go with your gut. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Because, like, perfect example, only a couple of days ago, I was on somewhere. I was on a lake and I was in a swim that I was happy with. I've never fished the lake before. I'm not mentioning the lake just for certain reasons, but I basically rang a couple of friends and they said to me, like, you need to get in this swim. The big un's due. It always comes out this swim, but you'll do well to get in it. You know, there's someone always in it. But if you can't get in there, opt for this other one. It's a couple of swims down. They're always in there when the wind's like this and fishing short. So kind of listened to them to a certain degree. And I sort of did my own thing, obviously, but at the same time, I got rods out and I was chilling, mate. I was happy. And something just made me stick my head out, bivvy, and look down to the left. And the chap that was in the swim, that both my mates were saying, they don't know each other either. They were both saying, like, if you can get in there, it's good for a bite, you know. He was packing up. So obviously I moved, you know. I moved and I got in the swim. The bloke actually gave me 3 pints of casters as well, which I was actually proper chuffed about as he was leaving. Right result there. But so he left. I moved in there. I was probably in there an hour, and I just always, whenever I've moved, I'm always often find myself once I've moved back standing in the swim I've moved from.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like, because I always want to make sure that I've not made the wrong decision. Do you know what I mean? Like, and at times I'm sitting, this is where I'm going back to, like, where I was saying I don't switch off. I'm always sitting there going, I've moved, but was it the right move? You know, like, and I'm second guessing and second thinking everything that I've just done. And I was sitting there, mate, watching my area that I was fishing, and ka-ba-ba-ba-boom, ka-ba-ba-ba-boom. A big, like, it was a 30, upper 30, low 40. Could have been 50. I mean, it was upper 30 all day long. Come flying out twice.
A lump.
I got a good look of it, mate. It come out twice, and I was only fishing 7 wraps out in this other swim. So me being me, I'm on my toes. I'm run round to the swim I was in to eye it up with the back to a marker on the back margin that I was on the tree line that I was fishing to, and mate, it was right over it. And I was like, no. But I forgot to say, like, before I realised matey in the next swim down in the hot swim was moving, it flat spotted on me. My spot had flat spotted. I was using a bit of hemp and stuff, and when I put it out with the spoon, because the wind was off me back, it's a relatively big lake, probably, I don't know, it's got to be 10 acre maybe, as a guess, you know, 8 to 10. It's got to be 10 acre, big square lake. But when I dropped the rigs with the spoon, the flat spot that went across the lake was unreal. And then it all settled and everything. It was an hour and a half later, it flat spotted off the spot right over the top of the rods. I had 2 on the spot, and I was like, mate, I was chuffed with that, you know. But then I still moved. And obviously, it's the wrong move, mate. I got it wrong. I got it wrong, man. Jumping into the hot swim when I actually had fish on my spot, I think, feeding. But hindsight's a wonderful thing.
Hindsight, exactly that, mate. Exactly.
It is, isn't it? You know.
It is, mate. You either do or you don't. You know, and you did it.
Yeah.
And maybe you should have done it, as you say, it's hindsight.
And the maddest thing about it is, like, I moved in the rain. I just put bacon on the pan. I threw that all away. When in the processes of moving, I got completely soaked, you know. It was just not the one. But I still managed to get a rod on that show. Like, I managed to get a rod. I had the boat in my van because there's a big overhanging tree, so there's no way I could cast to it. There's an overhanging tree, but with not one branch overhanging the water, in the water. It was overhanging the water, but nothing was nothing was going into the water, like. And so I kind of boated round it and got one on the spot, but the opportunity had been and gone. You know, that was my opportunity, I think, and that was it. You know.
Yeah. So, right, what about this tree climbing and lapping the lakes at all hours, moving 3 times a night and all that? What was all that about, mate?
That probably ties back into the ADHD, mate, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I mean, when I first got right back into carp fishing, I met a guy. I met a lad. He turns out to be like one of my best mates now. and he's probably the best carp angler I know, underground, unknown carp angler. He's up there, mate, with all the people on the telly, but he's just not on it. He's just not on it, mate. He's proper underground, low key, and he's taught me. You know, he's taught me the way, and I kind of adapted to his style of fishing. Because, like I say, the man's like my guru.
And it's paid off, isn't it?
100%, mate. Like I used to go fishing when I first started fishing with him. You'd wake up in the morning and he's gone. You know, he's well gone, and he's moved twice in the night. You know, and and just his style of fishing is just how I've sort of kind of adapted my style to suit him. You know, because obviously, every time, like, he just put me so right. He just put me right.
What sort of times did you sort of like, I don't know, on some times when you're out, what sort of times did you sort of think, right, that's it, I'm moving? Would the time be irrelevant? Would it be any time?
When I'm proper on it, mate, yeah, I have a 12 o'clock walk. Like I'm probably, I like to get me knocked down at certain times of the day, yeah, dead hours. If I'm doing like a proper session, you know, like between sort of like 11 and 2 and 3, you'll often find me sleeping with rods not even in the water, because they're my hours where I'm recharging, you know, especially when I'm in France. When I'm in France, you know, I've got a block week, you know, I'm recharging for the evening, because I sort of I'm often off my rods, you know, not like in silly situations, do you know what I mean? Like if I'm fishing open water, or a lot of the time I'm fishing inshore, you know, I do a lot of inshore fishing. You know, so you can get away with being off your rods a bit more. And I'm constantly walking, looking, climbing trees, falling out of trees. And all that, we'll get into
that one, mate.
Yeah, well, yeah. But yeah, so like I say, mate, like 1 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 6 o'clock, yeah? Them in between them hours, on them hours, I'm up. So I'll have a kip in between. I'll have a little kip in between. But I drink a lot of tea, and it keeps me up and whatever else. You know, so... But,
the reason being is that you want to get on them. They're there, you want to get on them, and you want to find them, don't you? So
2 o'clock, the 2 o'clock walk is when... The 2 o'clock walk is where it's at.
Yeah.
I found over the years of me doing this, yeah, and again, this is going back to what I've been taught by a friend of mine, you know, the 1 o'clock walk between the 1 and the 2, and the 2 and the 3. But like I say, the 1 o'clock, mate, I've seen some things, mate, I tell you, and it's like, move straight onto them. In the morning, I've got 2 fish, you know.
Nice.
Yeah, and I've done it a lot, but like turning up down the lake late at night would allow me to move into areas where fish have been pushed.
Right, okay.
And get on them straight away without having to be there, get on them.
You know, it must be a great feeling that you've sort of conquered that part of it, you know, where you've moved and you've been straight on them, you know?
Yeah, well, like I say, mate, it's where it's happened so many times, and it's don't get me wrong, mate, it don't always happen, you know. It's still 50-50, if that, you know, it's probably, there's a chance, you know, you've got a chance. It's always just there's always opportunities, and there's just a chance, isn't there? There's always an opportunity, you know. And it's just how you take that opportunity and how you go about it. But like I say, mate, I've messed it up more times than I've got it right, for sure.
Well, you know, I could say a lot of us probably have done the same if they're honest with each other. You know, I've definitely done it.
Yeah, for sure, mate. Yeah, 100%.
You know, it ain't going to be the last time I've had, to be honest with you.
No, mate, honestly, like...
You know, you learn something new every day on the bank, don't you? Every time you're there, you learn something new.
Yeah, no, 100%, mate. Oh, mate, like I say, the blanks, it don't matter about the blanks. I always say it don't matter about the blanks, as long as you take something from that.
As long as you've learned something out of it.
Even if it's that you've seen a show up the other end of the lake, that's enough. Yeah?
Yeah.
That's enough to note and log.
Yep.
But yeah, that's that really.
Oh, okay. Shall we move along then? What have I got here? I know you like the rivers and canals.
Yes.
Can you tell us more about your boat, the missions you've been on with it.
Yeah. The missions, cool. I had some missions, mate. I bought the smallest boat, that's why it was a mission.
Uh-huh.
I had the smallest boat on the river, Eric, to the point where I used to go up the river and people used to take photos of me. Like, I'm not joking, like bird watchers and people like that, because it was like a proper scenic little boat. Yeah, it was like what would you call it? Like, it was photogenic.
Firecatcher.
Yeah, it was photogenic. This little boat, yeah, because it was this miniature little boat, and it was just paddled up the river, and it was proper clean little thing. Do you know what I mean? And it was just like I'd often have people taking photos of me for ages, like coming up the river at them. They'd be standing on the riverbanks facing me, just taking photos, like, and I'm like, embarrassing, like. But yeah, the boat, mate. I mean, the river. I've always loved the river. From like, obviously, my dad's took me on the river. I used to fish a lot of matches on the river. Then I started catching carp out the river. And there's a certain stretch in Essex, Malden. Some people might know it on here.
I know Malden very well.
That I've had a good go at over the last sort of like 3 or 4 years.
Okay.
And it's just different, mate. It's just different. Like, I mean, I just love the hustle and bustle of it.
Yeah.
I love the hustle and bustle of it. I love that they're wildies to a certain extent. You know, they've all been caught. They've all felt a prick at least a few times. Do you know what I mean? And they've all got a story to tell, and that's what I love about it. The carp on the river, you know, like some of them have got bits missing. Some of them you can see have been chewed up by otters and escaped, and some have been hit by propellers on the boats, and and they've gone through the locks, and they've gone out to like this strip that my boat was on was brackish, which is so for anyone that don't know what that is, it's a mix of salt water and fresh water, basically where the sea meets the river. And the main basin, so the river was basically, you come to a dead end, which you come to sort of like it's around a 2 acre sort of lake, basically it come to, and it's 20 odd foot deep, and in the winter it's just carp soup in there. It's carp soup in there all year round. You're not allowed to fish it. You're not allowed to fish it, so they're sort of like, they know that as well, but unless you turn up down the late and get out early, that's the only time you can get away with it, sort of thing.
I was going to say, you have fished it, haven't you?
Yeah. I mean, people fish it. You know, it's you're not allowed to fish it. But it's one of them, mate. You just get asked to leave, and you sort of, no problem. You're not rude about it. You sort of just get up and leave, sort of thing. But to be honest, there's sort of like a code down there with the anglers that do fish it. Like certain little rules. If you stick by them, you have no problems down there. You know, like I don't go down there till 10:30 at night.
Well, there's no one around, is there?
No one's around, but the problem you have is like you're fishing in between people's boats and they're on them asleep. Yeah, they're living on their boats, you know, and you're sleeping in a car park in between cars. No brolly or bivvy or whatever. You're literally sleeping under I've got like a carp tarp, but often if it's not going to rain, it's literally just bed, chair out, sleeping bag by the side of a car, single rodding it under the rod tip pretty much in between the boats. And it's interesting. There's actually videos of me playing fish on my TikTok on there.
There you go, people, have a look at that.
It's close quarters.
When you was fishing there once, I heard you talk about it before. Did you get your net nicked?
Oh, mate. That, mate, is a nightmare. I had an absolute nightmare, mate, but I had to see the funny side of it. I see the funny side of it, not whilst it all was unfolding, but after I sorted it all out and got it under control, I did have a chuckle about it. But yeah, basically I woke up to a 1-toner, and at the time I was fishing 2 rods. So where I was sleeping, I had a rod to my left down the path and a rod to my right. and one net. So whatever rod would go, I'd pick the net and run with the net to the rod, you know, because again, you don't really want to have two nets down there. You just want the one net. You don't want a load of gear down there, mate. Do you know what I mean? So like it's just the one net, and it was on a 2-piece handle, just with the the top part of it, you know, just a short handle, because that's all you need down there. Because you're using a 6-foot rod, it's just ideal, you know. So anyway, rod's gone. I've jumped up, all starry-eyed. It was about 3 o'clock in the morning, and I can't find my net. So I'm like looking for me net. I'm scurrying around, mate. I can't find it anywhere. So I've had to hit the rod. So I've run to the rod. I've hit it. And it's beasting me. I can, at this point, it must have been under about 4 boats, because they're the way they're more up down there, they're like 3 or 4 abreast. So the people that want to get on their boat, they have to jump over everyone's boat to get to their boats, as sort of thing. And I can hear this fish rolling in between one of them, if not out in the open water of this basin. And I've managed to get it back. It's grating on all sorts, and using like real heavy stag leaders and what you have to do down there. Because you just get cut off. It's just it's gnarly down there on the rivers, all sorts in there, and
plenty of snags in there.
All sorts, mate. Yeah, like there's broken anchors in there where they've actually come off the boats, and like they're in there, and I dread to think what else is in there. Do you know what I mean? There's probably lumps of steel. When I was going up and down the river, mate, there was one area, and I used to hit the shop. There's a shopping trolley, and I used to always have to remember where it was, because I used to hit it every time. I just hear dump, and then you'd hit my back propeller would just hit it. You just get ting. But so anyway, going back to the net. So I've gone to the rod. I'm playing the fish. I've managed to get it back to the rod tip, and the whole time I'm sitting there thinking, because the banks are probably 4 foot from the water. So I'm like probably at least 3 foot from the water, you know, and it's a path, it's a concrete path. And so like I've had to put the rod back down on the pod, put the bait runner back on, and I've run back to my bed chair now. It's probably only about 15 yards back, 20 yards in back, 4 cars sort of thing down the path. And I've gone to me, I'm looking for me net, can't find it. Literally had to go back to the rod, because it's literally just one toning again, like ripping off. So gone back to the rod again, knowing full well I ain't got a net. Got it back to the rod tip, put it back down on the rod, on the alarm again. Gone back and got my floating sling. It's the only thing I could land it into. You know, there was nothing else I could do other than get it close to me and unhook it. Do you know what I mean? And I could see it was like this black and white koi, right? It's just like this river, people chucking their fish out the pond over the years. Like, they fill the pond out of it. You know what I mean? There's a few koi in there, but this one was black and white, and it's a cool fish, man. I wanted to have a photo with it, and obviously I wanted is a story as well. Like how if I just wanted to land this fish, do you know what I mean? I wanted it, and it was only about scrape a double, like sort of thing, but I just wanted this fish. So after everything I'd gone through, I wanted it.
So letting it go, mate.
No way, mate. No way. So so basically I ended up on my belly. I was laying on the floor with my chin and my head hanging over the river, with me sling in the water, and I had to like just beach it into the sling, and I got it, I landed it, and then that's when I had to chuckle. But yeah, someone nicked my net, mate.
Bastards, mate. Absolute robbing bastards, aren't they?
Yeah, but the thing of it is like you're not allowed to fish down there, right? And it's a bit it's a bit of a thing, right?
You can't really sort of have a sort of moan about it, if you like, sort of thing down there, can you?
No, I mean it's
I mean, if you catch them, it's a different story, isn't it? You know.
Yeah, exactly. But it's just that was a nightmare, mate. That was absolute nightmare.
I'm going to move on.
Right? Go on, mate. Go.
June the 16th last year.
Yes, mate. June the 16th.
Tell us more.
Mate, one to remember for sure. I've done June the 16th on the river for probably the last 5 years, and you catch one, you've had it off, sort of thing. There's loads in there, but you know, you can blank. You know, it's the river. You know, just June the 16th. I only fish it on June the 16th now. I might drop in there the odd night here or there on a random one, But June the 16th, we're there religiously every year. Me and my mates, we do it every year, but we go on the 15th. So we go down on June the 15th. Obviously, I had the boat down there last year. I've actually just got rid of my boat.
Okay.
Yeah, that's gone now, mate. I've got rid of it because I'll be honest with you, it was a decoy. The boat was a decoy. Hence why I got the smallest boat, which cost me the least money on the moorings. Because basically that basin, I drove in there not knowing it had APR cameras, ANPRs. I did 2 nights in there, Eric, and I got £70 parking tickets both nights.
Oh dear.
So 140 quid's worth of parking tickets to fish the river for 2 nights.
Not what you want, is it?
No, and obviously in this basin is where it's at. You know, you can fish up the river and it's good for a bite and whatever else. But I'm talking hits of fish. You know, you can have 2 or 3 a night. You know, 2 or 3 a night, and it wasn't uncommon. You know, but having the boat basically allowed me to open access. It was like full open access to the river. Obviously getting up and down it, seeing it from a different light, but being able to gain access to certain banks, like the far bank down there. The other side of the bank is all mooring, private mooring. You can't get along there unless you've got a boat. Everyone knows each other. If you try to walk down there, you'll get shooed off straight away. It's one of them. And obviously when you're fishing the fishing side, all you want to do is walk around there and chuck a bit of bait in on the spot and walk along there and find a little clear spot and stuff to fish it from the other side. But you can't get round there. But we used to sneak round there before I got the boat and put a bit in and have a little look and whatever else. But you get caught along there, you get the other boat owners, they don't want you down there. You're a stranger, like they get things nicked and stuff, and
you're a menace, aren't you?
Yeah. It's sort of, if they don't know you, they live down there. Do you know what I mean? It's sort of like
a bit clicky, isn't it, in that respect?
Yeah. And then, but then obviously
you can see where they're coming from.
100%, mate. It was like once I had my boat on there, I didn't want people walking up there. Do you know what I mean? Because I had like a £1,000 engine sitting in the cab.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you know what I mean? Like when I got the boat, I bought it with a proper pony engine, and I went out and bought a brand new Honda because I had a little Minn Kota, a little electric, what you'd put on like you know, like what you'd put on a
thing,
what you'd put on it just to put on the boat, like down the lake to get out to a snagged fish or whatever, like a little electric, or what you'd use trout fishing or dropping rigs, carp fishing. You know, you see them. Electric outboard on run on a battery, like a car battery. But the boat was that small. It was only a 35 thrust as well. It was like the small one. It used to get me up and down the river once on a full charge. But I didn't want people up there because obviously things get nicked down there and whatever else. And
I mean, you know, that's a grand, isn't it? That's a lot of money to replace.
Yeah, 100%, mate. And that was my tool to get up and down the river. So so anyway, June the 16th, we opted not to fish off the boat this year because I did the year before. I fished off the boat and I messed it all up. I fished too close. I baited it for months. I put 150 kilo bait in the river over the course of a couple of months prior to opening the river season opening, and I just put it all way too close to the boat. And when I turned up to the boat on the 15th. Obviously, I couldn't fish till the 16th, but I'll get on to why we get down on the 15th. But I was down on the 15th, and I had like 8-9 carp feeding on the back of my boat. As soon as I got on the boat and started fishing on the 16th at 12 o'clock, gone, mate. You know, but if I'd have moved the boat or fed the other side of the river all this time, it would have been a different story. I would have caught loads of fish, but it was a massive learning curve. Fishing off the boat is so different. And a lot of the time, I found myself not on the boat.
It's a great experience, isn't it, as well?
But like I say, a lot of the time, I found myself not on the boat. This is why I've ended up getting rid of it, because in the end, it just cost me a load of money and it was just sitting there. But yeah, so anyway, June the 16th, me and my mate, we opted to go fishing in the basin. We had the boat up on the mooring and we went out for the day on it, and we primed a few spots up and down the river, which I'll get to in a minute. But it was all about getting in this basin for a good couple of bites, you know, and sort of like that's what we aim to do. And we trickled a bit of baiting on the margins throughout the day, just like shadily, because you don't want to be caught doing it. But we was just trickling a bit of baiting.
Of course.
Priming the spots up for the evening sort of thing, but you can't fish. We get down there on the 15th, we have a barbecue, a few beers, this, that and the other, and then once it gets to 12 o'clock that night, obviously rolls over to June the 16th, early hours of the morning, and we're rods out, and that's how we fish it. So we always fish it, and so that's just how we do it, sort of thing. A lot of other people do that as well, man. They do it all over the country, it's not just us.
It happens everywhere.
It's a normal thing, mate.
My way as well. It does. In my way, it happens a lot.
That's it, mate. People are itching to get out, don't they?
12 a.m. bang. Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. So obviously, we fished in the basin, and I had a bite. Put the rod out at 12 o'clock, and I had a bite at 12:05. First bite 12:05 straight away. I had a common. I only sort of like doubles. If you catch a 20-pounder, you've done all right. Do you know what I mean? There's loads and loads of doubles in there. With a handful of upper 20, mid 20, upper 20s, 1 or 2 30s, and then one that does 40. So that's the stock pretty much, and then obviously you go up a few locks. You go up a lock, and then there's another little set of 18 fish, and they do move about, don't get me wrong, but the further you go up, the more unknown it is, because obviously
more wild, isn't it?
Yeah, because where I am, everyone's at it. Do you know what I mean? It's anyone's game. Sort of like you are battling with other people to get in certain little spots at times, but you do see other people down there. But yeah, so anyway, I've ended up having I've with my mate. He hasn't had a bite. Like it's got to 4 o'clock in the morning now, and I've had 3, and he's fishing one end of the boat, and I'm fishing the other. We're fishing literally opposite ends of a boat. So sort of like he's sort of redone his rod, and when he's redone his rod, he was laying over a branch. So it was, obviously that's why he didn't have his bite, sort of thing. Have a bite, and then I ended up having another one. So I had 4 bites out of the basin before we had to get out of there. And my pal Jed, he didn't have any blessing. So we moved up further because we primed a few spots the day before, sort of thing, to jump onto, knowing that we had to get out of the spot that we were fishing at 6 in the morning before anyone was waking up and whatever else. So we did the photos, because I sacked a lot of them off until first light, and we did all the photos. And then we moved up onto the kiosk, which is like basically the visitors' mooring. So if I had my boat there, I can fish from there. You're not allowed to fish there, but if you're allowed to fish off your boat if you have a boat there, which is another reason why I got the boat. Yeah, brilliant. It's like a kiosk. It's like they do bacon rolls and cups of tea, and it's like a kind of thing like that. And it's like right on the mooring. So at times it was quite nice. You sit there, you can have you don't have to make a cup of tea. You can get a cup of tea, a bacon roll, and people walking past you constantly, like, and you're just sitting there fishing like around them all. But yeah, we moved up there, and Jed finally got a bite, and he managed to catch a 20-pound common pucker fish as well. Jet black, real nice one. So that sort of like made me happy, because obviously you know what it's like when you've had a few and your mate's not, and it's like, do you know what I mean? It's like, I don't know, I want my mates to catch as much as I do. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. You know, and like, it was just I was a bit wounded, like, that he hadn't had anything. And then when he caught that, and he was the biggest one, he was bigger than anything I'd caught. He had the biggest one, so I was well chuffed with that. And I say, got it in the net, and obviously I've got a rod out further down the way, the other end of the kiosk, so mine ripped off. So, and that was a 20-pounder as well. So we both ended up with 40-pounder.
Nice little lump, mate.
Yeah, we had 40-pounder river carp in the net. We both like one each, sort of thing, and we got this cool little shot together, and it was wicked, man. And it was, like I say, the best June the 16th I've had to record. It was
brilliant.
4 fish, 5 bites, 4 fish.
Nice. Right, we'll move on, Brad. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah, man.
That was really good. That bit, yeah. This one is interesting. I understand you're sponsored by Witchwood. How did this come about?
Going back to the river, really, mate.
Okay.
They sort of picked me up through I was told sort of like, you need to set up TikTok. TikTok's where it's at. This was a couple of getting on a year, or I mean, I was probably late to the party if I'm honest, but like TikTok was where it was going. I was told by a few people in the game, sort of thing, like get a TikTok account, and start putting your stuff on it, because you do stuff that's not like normal, Brad. You're not normal. Like you're doing things that are, you know, like different, you know. So like I've always been like that, mate. I've always against the grain. I've never anything that whatever everyone's doing, I'm like trying to do the complete opposite, you know, or gets my brain thinking like, what can I do that they're not? Do you know what I mean?
You're not normal.
No, mate. I mean, I'm not. I do some bizarre things sometimes, but there's method behind my madness, mate, and everyone can see it after a while, and then they go, "I see what you're doing now." Do you know what I mean?
I mean, if people sort of watch your live and listen to you talk, they'd understand what you're all about. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. But yeah, like getting onto the Witchwood. I mean, I set up the TikTok. I was doing a lot of the river, battling fish under the rod tips, around the boats, I threw the ropes and all that, and that's what caught their eye, and they approached me and just said like, look, would you be interested in a deal? And I sort of like said, yeah, I don't mind, you know, like I'm not really that bothered about it. I didn't go out looking for it. It kind of just it sort of like fell into me lap as such. Do you know what I mean? Like, don't get me wrong, there was sort of like chats and things, and they didn't beg me. There was nothing like that. Do you know what I mean? And I didn't beg them, but yeah, that's just sort of like how it went, you know. And from there, I've always loved making videos and taking photos, and I'm always one to catch something on video. If something happens, I'll catch it on video, you know, or I'm always there with like Jeremy Beadle, mate.
Brilliant.
But so like I had like loads and loads of content from like obviously like years and years of catching all these carp I've caught, and never done anything with them, mate. You know, I put the odd thing on Facebook and that, but I just stored them. I've got phone after phone after phone sitting there, just full of stuff. Like so I just uploaded everything onto there, and it sort of like took off. The TikTok took off, mate, from there really. And once I got to sort of like I think it was only like a couple of thousand followers I had when they sponsored me. 3,500 or something like that. But yeah, sort of like that's sort of like where that sort of how that come about, mate.
Yeah, can I just ask quickly? Can I just ask how to add extra pressure when you're fishing?
A little bit. I ain't gonna lie.
I suppose, isn't it? Yeah.
I ain't gonna lie, mate. I mean, I'm an underground carper, mate. I'm brought up around underground carpers, you know, off the radar carp anglers, and it's not their thing, you know. And I didn't really want to talk to them about it because they just not on it, mate. It's cringy. It's cringe. It's all cringe to them, and you know, it's not what it's about, and it's just and this, that, and the other. But yeah, I'll be honest with you. At times, I'm using tackle. They've sent me loads of stuff, which I'm really happy with using, but it's not my kit that I've used for the last 6-7 years.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
And you know, it's just like I've lost the odd fish, and I'm like, putting it down to them rods are too stiff, and these are and this and that, and do you know what I mean? And you know, like when you're confident in something, mate, I'm using reels. Well, my reels I've used since I was 13 years old. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the old school Shimano long casts. I've used them. They were my dad's reels. Yeah, they were my dad's. I've used them literally since I was a boy, you know, and they've done me so well over the years. I can hit the big raps with them. They've never let me down, you know, and they're just bulletproof reels, and I won't ever get rid of them because they're my reels, man. I've caught all my fish with them, you know, and I'm not using them at the minute, which is a little bit like, you know, like I've got a set of Witchwood reels and I've got a set of Witchwood rods, and you know, like, don't get me wrong, they're nice, and it's you know, it's nice. Do you know what I mean? But they're not my rods. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you're saying, exactly.
And like at times, yeah,
even though they are yours, but I know what you mean. They're just not you.
yeah, they're like,
Yeah.
you know, like I built all my confidence up on that setup, and that's me, you know, like even down to like I won't change things, mate. I won't even go. I don't even like going out. All the stuff that I have is sentimental to me for one reason or another, and it's had it.
Yeah.
Half my kit's had it, mate. Yeah, like, but I won't change it
No, it's
because
sentimental, as you say. It's got
yeah,
meaning behind it.
yeah, like it's just everything's got most of my kit's second hand. Like
Yeah.
I'll hold my hands up, mate. I don't mind admitting it. You know, like half of my kit is second hand. You know,
Yeah.
other than alarms and rods, my reels obviously less second hand. Like they're like 20 odd years old, my reels. And you know, even down to my bed chair. You know, but still using the same bed chair I was using 8 years ago that I bought second hand.
Yeah.
For me and the dog.
The legendary bullseye, eh?
Mate, he does me in, mate. He's hard work.
He's class, though, isn't
Yeah, he is. I like when I went and fished that Witchwood Social the other night for one night. I couldn't do the second night because I had work, but I fished it for one night and I didn't have him with me, mate. And like every time I go to sit down on my bed, I'm like making sure I don't sit on him, and I'm like, oh, he's not here.
You
And
sort of lost, didn't you?
yeah, mate, like honestly, I do a lot of nights, man. I do a lot of nights on my own. Like the lakes I fish, normally on my own, you know. And during the week, you don't normally see anyone anyway. But there's like my main lake that I've been campaigning for the last like year or so. It's only 10 members. You know, you're lucky if you see anyone even at weekends. So having the dog with me is just like I talk to him, mate. He knows everything I'm saying all the time. Like I've spoken to him for 10 years, mate. He knows my language. Yeah,
they know your words, and of course they understand.
100%,
mate.
mate.
Clever dogs anyway, aren't they?
Yeah, I say if anyone's looking to ever get a dog like to take fishing and be a carpy dog, it's a Staff.
Yeah, 100%.
All day long, mate. Like they're the right size. They're just no good with other dogs, which suits fishing quite well, really, because you just keep yourself to yourself anyway, don't you?
Yeah. Right, so we're going to go on, Brad, yeah?
Yeah, man.
I've got something to ask about your recent campaign and the spod rod. Ooh.
Oh, mate. See,
so obviously I know about this. It is a chuckle, yeah, very good.
I don't know whether I should tell this one. I might get slated for it.
Well, it is what it is, brother.
Well, the campaign, obviously, that's the campaign I was just talking about. I've been on it for a little while now. Thought I'd nearly completed it, and then a couple of fish got caught that had never been seen before, and then all of a sudden it was all back again, fresh on it. So basically, this lake, I'm not mentioning anything. Like I can't mention anything about it, where it is, or I can talk to you about it and whatever else, but I just can't go into any details of anything because
fair enough, mate.
They'll have my Jacobs, mate, and probably boot me off as well. And I would never do that to them because we're all like 10 members, or there's 12 of us, but there's probably 3 or 4 that don't fish it. That just renew their ticket every year because it's such a magical place. And I will never drop it. They just don't ever want to drop it, you know. Like it's just a ticket you'd never want to drop.
Yeah, that's right.
It's a special one, you know. So basically, little background behind it. It's a kind of like an estate lake that some old boy owns. Put a load of fish in it about 35 years ago, and fished it. Loves fishing, but then just stopped fishing it, and it's just sat there for years. No one's fished it. It's just sat there, and these carp have obviously laid in there. A couple of my friends have ended up being able to fish it. This is 4 years ago now. Around 4 years ago, they got permission to fish it. So they started fishing it, realising pretty much straight away that they had the fish would be an otter. They didn't know what was in there, you know. They didn't know what carp were in there. The old boys just sort of said, "There's carp in there, you know. You're more than welcome to go and have a look." Yeah. So they've gone down there, caught a few good fish like straight away. I think on the first night, they caught one of them had a 30 on the first night. They didn't know anything about the lake, you know. So like So that's happened. Then there's been more fish caught. They've carried on fishing it, and it's turned out the one. I think they caught one at like £39. That was the biggest one they caught. They were talking like 4 years ago, right? And then they basically, what they did was they thought they'd turn it into a little 10-man syndicate. They put the old boy. They said to the bloke, like, look, your fish are getting eaten. Would you put an otter fence around it? It's cost 65 grand. They got a price at 65 grand to put the otter fence round, and the old boy paid for it, right? I'm calling him old boy because I don't want to call him by his name.
No.
But yeah, not out of disrespect. It's just this. So anyway, he paid for it. Bless him. Like, he got the. He's obviously not a fisherman anymore, but it's his lake and he sees fish, you know. And he obviously, we said to him, like, this is happening. We're showing him like big £30 plus carcasses, you know, that have been mullered. Great big rib cages on them. You couldn't tell what fish they were. So he's put the otter fence around it. So now it's sort of like the fish that were caught before the otter fence went up. We don't know if they're still in there. This lake don't throw bites up like very often, mate. Like, these fish don't get caught for 2-3 years upon the next capture. The stockies they put in there, they don't get caught, mate. They've put a load of stockies in there 2 years ago. Half of them haven't been caught, you know. So it's obviously like really rich with something, and they're obviously adapting to the lake. By watching the originals, how they're going about their business, and then copying what they're doing, and then they're making it really hard for them to catch as well. So like the stockies don't get caught hardly either. It's mad, mate.
Did we talk about the spod rod?
Yes, which is what. Yeah, sorry, mate. We're getting onto it.
Sorry, mate.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, we're getting onto it, mate. Yeah, so
that's fine.
So basically, when I'd done a couple of guest nights on there. Bearing in mind, there's like a bit of an unknown stock. There was one fish that was known as the big un, and then that 39-pounder hasn't been caught, and it still to this day hasn't been caught since the otter fence went up. So it could have been done, but it could still be in there. And if it is in there, it's a 50-pounder all day long, like big 50-pounder as well. Considering the one that was caught was at £30 on the first night that I told you about, is now nearly 50. That was caught at 39, about a month after the 30-pounder was caught. That 30-pounder is now the big one, so that we know of. So anyway, did a couple of guest nights on there and managed to get a ticket on there. It was like, there's no waiting list. Someone's got to drop a ticket, and then someone might get a ticket. That's like, it's like there's no real waiting list. There'll be one person maybe in line for a ticket if someone drops out. But you have to be well in with someone like us, basically. You ain't getting on there. No random people are getting on this lake ever. So anyway, I managed to get a ticket on there. So I started fishing it properly. And this was, I didn't get my ticket on there till January, end of January. So it's cold, man. It's not a very good time of the year to start fishing a lake, I wouldn't say. But we went with it, because it was somewhere that I just wanted to fish so bad, mate. I'd done a couple guesties on there and not caught anything, but it was like every time I'd done a guest on there, you just fell in love with the place more and more. Like, it's so special, man. It's so special. There's no real swims down there. There's spots that we're all known that we fish now, but it's not. It's all natural and grass banks, and we try and keep it all like that. But anyway, I'd done a 3-night blank on the first 3 nights on the ticket. Chasing them about, well, not really chasing them about. I was finding them in the evening, fishing for them and pushing them out. But I weren't finding them in the mornings. They were moving off me, and I couldn't find them in the morning. Basically, it's when I want to find them. You know, where they are in the morning is generally where I'll set myself up in the evening for the morning, even if they're not there. If they're not there in the evening, then I'm sort of like second guessing that they're going to turn up there. You know. So it took me 3 nights basically to start working out where they were in the morning, with a little help from my drone, I must admit. But at first, I weren't using it, and I don't really use it that much, but we'll get onto that. But I use it in the right situations, certain situations, you know. But like I say, we'll get onto that. But so 4th night, I've worked out. I found him in a swim inshore. It's a 1-rod job You know, it's a one rod job inshore, and that was it. You know, so the lake's about an hour and a half from me house, and I was taking one rod. You know, like I weren't taking 2 or 3 because it was just it confuses you. If you go there on a mission to do one thing and one thing only, off more times than not, it's the way to go. Do you know what I mean? Like and I was on a mission, mate. Like I knew that I could start catching these fish just by fishing. It's a one fish a night lake anyway. Once you've hooked one in anywhere on the lake, you've pushed them out, mate. They're gone, mate. You know, they're gone. The opportunity's gone. Like I've actually started to work it out now. You bag one from a swim, you move. You know, there's no. I've had 2 fish in one night from there, but generally, mate, I've had 2 fish and lost one. Like I've had a bite in the night, a bite in the morning, put the rod back out and lost one. But that's the most it's ever done for me. Like it's just single bites normally. You know, spots, the area's done, the zone's done by the time you've landed it because it's so shallow. So anyway, one rod job, and it was working. First night I did it, bang, 4 point, just under 5 wraps, something like that, in short. 5 wraps out, bait spoon, dropping them with a bait spoon, and I had 3 fish on the bounce, 3 mornings, 3 fish, all at the same time. So obviously I'm travelling like an hour and 20 minutes to the lake with one rod, right? So I'm on my 7th night now. Yeah. And I'm walking around the lake and it's like 8 o'clock at night, pitch black. It's what time I finished work late. And I was, you know, I'm on a roll, mate. You know, it didn't matter what time of the night it was. It could have been 3 o'clock in the morning. I would have been walking around that lake, getting on my spot. It don't matter, mate. You know, one rod. It's a one rod job. You know, like it's easy. You know, got a little starlight that, you know, like what you put on your waggler. You know, when you fish a waggler at night, the old starlight. There's a little slit in the bushwhacker at the very front of where the pole goes into the spoon. There's a slit in it. Yeah, and you can slot a waggler, a night light in it. So you can see what you're doing at night, because I don't like the old end torches too much, you know. So you can see where your spoon is the whole time. You can line it up with where you need to be. So anyway, I got halfway around the lake. Bearing in mind it's like 8 o'clock. I'm an hour and 20 from home. And I'm looking at the rod sleeve on my barra, and I'm like, that ain't my rod. So I've stopped, I've opened the rod bag up, and it's got a deeper in there, and it's my spod rod. So I've basically left me fishing rod at home, and I've got my spod rod with me. And I'm like, I'm going to do. So I've like rang my mate's like, come and get one of mine. And I'm like, it's like 15-minute drive. It was like late at night, it was getting on. And I was like, I went in my rucksack, I found a lead core, and I was like, that will do. I'm fishing with the spod rod for the night. I'm fishing with a spod rod. I'm here now. I'm here, I'm doing it. Do you know what I mean? So that's what I did. And I said to my mate on that night, I said, there's a reason for this. I said, everything happens for a reason, you know. There's obviously a reason why I'm going to need a beefed up rod tonight. Yeah, I'm going to need a beefed up rod tonight. Yeah, my mate was laughing about it. We was having a little giggle about it. So anyway, my mate said, I can't believe you're using your spod rod. I said, what's the difference? What is the difference? Other than it's a 4.5-pound test curve rod, right? Yeah. Other than that, you put a reel on it. It's got eyes on it. You can cast a rod out with it and reel a fishing with it. You know. Yeah, exactly. You know, my spod rod is a 4.5-pound test curve, but the backbone's gone out of it, so it's not as stiff as what it used to be. So basically the rod went out, single rod. I woke up in the morning just before sort of like bite time, because it was like they were coming round like clockwork onto this spot, turning up on me, little trail of bubbles, and bang, it would go. But the first 3 mornings I'd had the bite, I was fishing a pop-up. One thing I didn't say. So I was fishing a pop-up the first 3 bites, and they were all stockies I caught between sort of like scraper double and low upper double. No 20-pounders. It was literally, I think the biggest one I had was 19-pound. I had a 12-pounder, a 14-pounder, and a 19-pounder. And they were coming into my spot, because this lake's not got many originals left in it. We've obviously, we know there's only sort of like a handful in there. at the time we did anyway. You know, there's a handful of, but at this point, the otter fence had gone up. I forgot to say it, and there's some stockfish have gone in. So obviously there's stockies in there as well now. So anyway, I woke up following morning, and I'm on the phone to my old man. No, sorry, before I was on the phone to my old man, I got up and I'm conscious about line lay. Like, that is my biggest thing, man, is line lay. And obviously, because I put this rod out in the dark, and I've got like whiplash. I don't know if you know what whiplash braid. It's like a really thin diameter. It don't sink, mate. It's for fishing long distance. Line lay with it's awful. And it's something that I hadn't really thought about the night before. I just put I fished like a 6 foot leg core on it. I'll be all right. Do you know what I mean? So I've rod tipped down in the water, like sunk right in the water. And I've looked at the line lay, and my main line, rod tips under the water, and my main line's floating on the surface. And I'm like, oh, whoa, I was about to reel it in. I'm like, mate, that ain't no good. So I was sitting there, I'm in my swim, and I'm like Googling. I sat there and thought, I've got an armour cord leader. Because it's a spod rod, I've got a 30-pound armour cord leader on it. So I'm Googling whether it's got any sinking properties. Straight away, first thing I read, abrasion resistant sinking braid. I'm like, mate, I've got 2 rod lengths of it on. So I'm now sitting there thinking 50% of the way out there I'm pinned, yeah? So I just tightened up the slack on the old whiplash, and I sat back and I was happy again, you know? I was confident that I was fishing effectively, yeah?
Yeah. Panic over, basically.
Panic over, yeah. I was about to reel the rod in, mate, and redo it or just go home. I was just like, mate, I ain't catch nothing with that, like that. Do you know what I mean? I was floating all the way to the lead core, do you know what I mean? Even though it would have probably been all right because I had a 6 foot lead core on. But yeah, anyway, so I'm on the phone to my old man, and I weren't, because I was fishing so close in, I weren't in that bite time, like that little period where the bites were coming. I weren't even walking about, Eric. I was sitting with my legs crossed on my bed chair, like Terry Earn style, sitting on my feet, just waiting, yeah? I'd watch the bubbles coming, because it's all inshore. Everything was there to see, you know. I was watching it all unfold, and it was brilliant, mate. It was like this wicked time for me, man. Like something I won't forget about. Like, it's definitely something that I won't forget about. But anyway, I'm on the phone to my old man. My old man's like, "You had one yet? You had one?" And I'm like, "Nah, not yet." And literally, just as I said it, I said, "Mate, they've just turned up on me." I just started watching them. Little few bubbles. Dad's like, "Right, go, yeah." So I put the phone down and I put the video on. I got the video, put my phone on the tripod, and I started videoing. And I was videoing for 3.5 minutes. The rod's gone. But bearing in mind, I said about the pop-up, I caught the first 3 fish on a pop-up. And I knew that they were just coming in and snatching it. Like, as soon as they were loving the bait that I was giving them, and they were just, it was bringing them all into the spot. But it wasn't giving any other fish a chance, you know. They were just coming in, seeing the pop-up and just snatching it. So I cut the pop-up in half and put it down on a slip D. So it was the same hook bait, because I knew it was obviously effective. The hook bait, the shape, colour, whatever was going on with it was obviously maybe part. Again, like I said, I don't change anything. I wouldn't go down to change it. I'll just have 3 bites on a yellow pop-up, yeah. If I'm going to go down and put it on the deck, it's still going to be a yellow pop-up, but I'm just cutting it in half, yeah. So that's what I did. I cut it in half and I put it on the deck. And the first morning I did that, the rod's rattled off and I'm into a proper one. The first proper one of the ticket, you know, like, and I know this is a proper one, you know, like, I'm getting tugged round the corner now, yeah, like, to the point where I've had to dive in the lake in January or February. I'm now up into my waist playing a fish on my spod rod, yeah. On the spod rod, and yeah, I've had an epic battle with it, managed to land it, and it's the big one at like 42 something, 42.2. Wow. So that was like, for me at that point, I'm like 7 nights in. I've done it on other lakes before where I've gone down there and within a week I've caught the big one, and that's just pure luck. There's no skill in that. I've gone down there and I've caught a load of fish and it's just turned up, you know. It's happened to me, you know. Just got it right straight away. But, you know, you can't pick and choose what one comes along unless you're chasing it around on a low stock and you're watching it do this and that. But generally in a in other lakes I fished, they've got a lot of fish in them. You know, it's just I just got lucky. You know, yeah, I'll put it down to that. But even down,
Go on, mate. You're right.
Yeah, no. So I was just saying, like, even down to catching that big one. You know, it was like the fourth fish I had out of there. But I tweaked something there to make a difference. Do you know what I mean? Where on other lakes other lakes I've just fished at it, 3 rods at a spot, and I've been catching fish, and all of a sudden it's just turned up and I've caught it. But it kind of ruins it, Eric, because when you're into a campaign like that, I mean, don't get me wrong, it would be nice to go down there, catch all the fish straight away, and then get on to the next one. But this place ain't like that.
It don't happen like that everywhere you go. That's right, mate.
It don't, mate. And you know, there's still other fish in there, because I'm not all about the big one. You know, if there's a certain fish in there that I like the look of, or I want, you know, regardless of size, if I want that in my album, you know, I'll go for it. You know, regardless of whether I've caught the big one. But so, like I say, I caught the big one, and it was like, right, well, there's no other big ones in here that we know of. There's a handful of scraper 30s. So I'll have a go for them for a bit, but there was a load of stockies going in there, and I wasn't too keen on the idea of it. Like a load of real small ones, like less than like 5-pounders. They were being bought over from another, because it's a new lake and we're building it. Do you know what I mean? So obviously you've got to start somewhere with it, and it was safe for them to go into there because of the otter fence. So they just put them in there. But I was sitting there thinking, I'm going to probably drop off, keep my ticket, but drop off for a few years now and let some of them others get bigger, and then have another go at it, because I've caught the big one and I'm never going to drop my ticket on here, but I'm sort of done. Do you know what I mean? I can go for a couple of others. So I did. I went for a few more, and I caught them. There was only one I didn't catch, right? And it died on me. So I basically went through most of the originals. There's still 1 or 2 from back then what we thought we knew of that I haven't caught. So I haven't caught them all, but I've caught probably 70. I've caught 70% of them. And like I say, mate, they're tricky fish, bro. They don't get caught from, like, the one I caught one at 32 last summer. It hadn't been seen in 3 years. Its last bite was like £26 2.5 years ago, before the otter fence went up, and it was one of them that was like, oh my god, it is in here. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So anyway, I've caught the big one and on the spod rod and whatever else, but about a month later, a mid-30 jet black common gets caught, which no one's ever seen before. No one's ever seen it. Mid-30, absolute banger. And I'm like, right, cool, I wouldn't mind catching that. Do you know what I mean? Right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, that's just like getting the feelers out. And I kid you not, mate, about a week later, a fish virtually identical to this mid-30 has come out at 39.14, just under £40. Right. Again, never been seen. No one ever knew anything about it, but I knew there was other big fish in there because I'd seen them with the drone. You know, I've seen these other fish with the drone, and I was keeping it shum. I just said to my old man, that ain't the only big one in there, mate. I'm telling you now. And there's a very, 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 very good angler that fishes on there with us. And he's caught them all, and he's still on there. Yeah, and I said to my old man, he knows what I know, that fella. I'm telling you now.
There's something else in there.
Because there's no way this man has caught, St Ives Lake, St Ives fishery. He's caught every fish out of there. Near enough every single fish on every single lake. He's had them all, mate. Yeah. He's a serious bloke, man. And like I say, if he wouldn't be on there for no reason, he's caught them all. There's reasons for it. This place is special, man. Like I say, the fish that are in there are all old dinks. The strain, they're dinks. I don't know if you know what they are. Like heavily plated along the dorsal. They're not many scales on the body at all. If none, you've got a bit on the wrist. Some on the wrist, but they've got big, heavily plated scales along the dorsal, and they're sort of like that's what we sort of like can tell they're a dink. But
So, Brad, who's Big John? I keep seeing that posted about on your status, mate, on TikTok.
Big John is that big common.
Ah.
Yeah, Big John is that big common, mate. So I've got this thing in my head now that I've got to obviously catch them. I've never actually fished anywhere and caught them all. Like doing that is like, it's hard. That's hard graft, mate. You know, like being able to catch every single fish in the lake. Don't get me wrong. A few of my friends do it, you know, but they're levels ahead of me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, they probably spend a lot more time than you on there as well, I would think. Like the working and that, isn't it, really, for yourself?
Just knowledge, mate. It just comes down to time. Like, they're older than me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They've been around longer, you know. Like they know what to do in certain situations a lot better than what I do.
They know the tricks of the trade, so to speak.
100%, mate. You know, they know they know the do's and the don'ts. Where me myself, you know, we're still learning all the time. Don't get me wrong, they are as well. But more times than not, they get it right than wrong.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, so like Big John and Little John. So obviously you've got Big John, which is that common that I'm after badly. I badly want it, mate. I've got it as a wallpaper on my phone and all sorts. That's how bad I want it. Yeah, like it's bad, mate. I've chopped the geezer's head off of it. That's holding it, and I've got the fish in a body and a set of hands. But it's I think if I think hard enough about it, want it hard enough, it will come, mate. But
it'll happen.
It will, mate. Yeah, like I say, I got really unlucky. Sorry, the other night I had an opportunity. I was very close to catching it. It was there. I'd found it, and it was with a small group of other fish, and I got rods on it effectively, and got the bite, but it was a stocky. So but it was one of the fish that was with it. You know, it was just like I say, you can't pick and choose which one comes along. You know, and I got everything right. I got everything right in that situation, but just the bite didn't. The fish was the wrong fish.
That's why I call it fishing, not catching, mate.
Yeah, exactly, mate. But,
so, moving on, Brad. Yeah. What is your ultimate go-to method for carp fishing and why?
Fucking handful of casters, mate. Handful of casters is my method, mate. If I can get away with it, obviously depending on the situation. But I'm a less is more man, if I'm honest. In a lot of situations, mate, like I do a lot better fishing over little bait than a lot of bait. When it comes to fishing over a lot of bait, I often find myself lost in application, if that makes sense. Knowing sort of like when's too much, do you know what I mean? Like, so I just prefer to fish for a bite at a time and build it like that. And it goes back to me match fishing, you know, like I was always taught you can put it in, but you can't take it out, you know, and that's it. You know, and I just take that into my carp fishing, you know, like I think you'll always have a chance of a bite, no matter what time of year it is, over a handful. And you will over a load, you know.
Absolutely.
And the other thing as well is another reason why I only fish over a handful of bait is because I'm fishing quick overnighters, and I don't want them sitting there feeding for hours on my spot. You know, I'm setting traps, mate. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm there for a quick time, not a good time. I'm there for what's that saying? I'm there for a good time, not a long time.
Yeah, that's the one. So,
and one other thing with the method, bait spoon. Bait spoon, mate. If I can, I do like a bait. I do like my bait spoon, my bushwhacker.
Okay.
That's my little edge, man. But I use it in a few different ways. But yeah, bait spoon where I can, mate. Because I do a lot of inshore fishing. A lot of fishing I do is inshore.
Well, I've got a bit of a quick fire question, I suppose. I'll call this one, Brad, really, to you.
Yeah, go on, mate.
Drones or climbing trees, and the pros and cons of them?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I've got mixed thoughts on this. I'll be honest. Climbing trees, I mean, carpy,
You've got to limit that one. You know that, don't you?
Say that again.
You have to limit that one about the trees, yeah? For obvious reasons later.
Right, okay, yeah. So, I mean, not everyone can climb trees, can they?
No, that's right.
Do you know what I mean? Like, my old man can't climb a tree.
Yep.
And, like, the chap that one of my best mates, he won't mind me saying this, he's a lump, yeah? He might even be in here listening, but he's a big old boy. And when we were in France and that, I'm climbing the trees for him, and he's putting the rods out where I'm like, right, you've got a spot. I'll take a photo of it, show him it. He likes the look of it. He's like, yeah, I'll fish it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then he goes from there. Like, but he wouldn't see the spot unless I jumped up the tree for him.
Yeah.
But like I say, he's still like, I've not made the decision for him. I've not done any work other than spotting something and going, he could have got up there if he was a few stone lighter, but obviously he's like, I ain't getting up there. Do you know what I mean? And I'm like, oh Rob, there's a gravel spot down there, like, and then he goes and does his work on it and caught a £50 off of it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. But
that was, mate. Yeah.
But I mean, like, climbing trees. I mean, drones. I think they're an edge. Yeah, but obviously used in the right situation. Like, I've got a drone. I've had a drone for years. And I will never fly my drone where there's another angler on a lake. The only time I ever use my drone is when I'm on my own. I will never ever use my drone on the lake when even if there's someone at the other end. I'll never put it up. But a lot of the time I'm on my own. So obviously when I'm doing these quick overnighters, especially in the winter, if I can do a lap of the lake and find them with my own eyes, then lovely, perfect in my eyes, in perfect scenario, but at times when time's at the essence or whatever they say, I pop the drone up and I can find fish and get on them, or complete opposite, when I'm sitting there biting my fingers thinking, are they there the following morning when I've got work, I can just certify it. There's been so many times I pop the drone up and they're at the other end of the lake, mate, and I reel in happy. I reel in with a grin on my face, where them mornings where I reel in and I think I'm on fish and there's a chance of a bite and I'm reeling in, mate, I'm pissed off all day and all night and probably the next day as well.
Yeah.
It really does get to me, man. It gets to me, like I say, there's been times where I've not come home because of it. Do you know what I mean? I've sacked off work, phone's turned off, I'm sitting it out. I'm sitting it out, mate,
So, have you mapped lakes before, and why would you do this?
Map lakes as in mapping lakes. I mean, I always map lakes, mate. Yeah, like, you mean like leading about and finding spots and things like that, yeah? Yeah, so like one thing that I'll always do, and I always, this is something that I've been taught again by my friends that I was going back to, sort of like the ones that I look up to, that have taught me a lot. They've taught me you need a spot in every swim, right?
Yeah.
Or if not every swim, in every zone of the lake, if you break it down, you need to be able to get, if there's fish in a certain area, you need to be able to get on them effectively and quickly, with minimal disturbance, and knowing one spot, because that's all it is, if you're moving on to fish, 2 or 3 rods is the kiss of death. You want to be able to get one rod in the zone and you're winning. You put the one rod out discreetly, the second rod goes out, could possibly put them on edge if you don't do it right. The third rod's just a write-off. Do you know what I mean? So I mean, a lot of the time, mate, I will spend days not wasted, like where I'm not fishing, because they're not. It's homework. It's all valuable. It's all valuable. Reeling early, and go and have a couple of hours or fish. Like just. But like I say, I always have a swim to go into. Every swim, I've got spots on my phone. Like, so that's what I was going to say. Like how I map it out. I can walk into a swim where I know they are, and I can get on a spot straight away. Without having to lead about. I can drop one out of the spoon, or I can flick one out of a little ounce and a half lead and be fishing effectively around fish, and with a chance. But like I say, with the mapping out, what I've been doing over the last couple of years is using my video camera and a pencil or a cigarette at times. It's normally a cigarette because that's what I've got hanging out my mouth. To point with, basically. But if you're standing in your swim and you found your spots, so what I'll do is I'll video the swim, I'll video the the far margins, like the tree line margin I'm fishing to. I'll point to it with the pencil or whatever I've got in my hand at the time, a baiting needle at times it is, and a pair of scissors or whatever it is I've got near me. But I can point and pinpoint exactly the tree that I'm fishing to, and obviously I'm talking to it, so I can just listen to it back. So you get a lot more detail than writing it down. Like I've got notes on my thing, like third pointy tree to the left of the gate in swim 4, and then at 3 wraps. Do you know what I mean? Like where with the video you can go on there and it's like clear as day.
More precise, isn't it?
100%, mate. And you can then go onto your notepad and then send that to your notepad.
Yeah.
So what I do is you go on my notepads. It's got what lake, swim, whatever the swim's called, and then I'll have a video underneath it. And underneath it will have a video of the spots that I'm fishing. And then if I've caught one, I normally put the video in that little part as well. And then because in the video I'll do a little personal thing of saying how I've caught it, what the temperature conditions. Because I'm dyslexic, I don't like writing stuff. I've never been fond of writing things and doing all that anyway. So if I can talk, I'm brilliant with my mouth, like you can obviously tell. But I'm no good at writing things down and whatever else. So if I can do a video which shows me everything, that's much better for me.
Yeah.
And that's how I map things out.
Excellent. So, who's Mason the Carp Kid? Tell us more.
Little Moo. Oh, that's my little boy, Mason. Yeah. Up and coming, hopefully. It's hard work at times with him, getting him out, but as he's starting to get older, he's getting more and more. It's in his blood, mate. He ain't got no choice, He ain't got no choice. It's like a few of my mates. Like one of my pals is a semi-professional footballer, and he plays for a good. He gets paid, and he plays for a good team and whatever else. And we was talking at work the other day, and because we work with his dad as well, and was all talking, and he said, "What would you do if your boy was no good at football?" And he was like, "Oh, I don't know what I would do. He's got no choice. He's got to be a footballer." Do you know what I mean? And he's got no choice. He has to be good at football. He's got to be a footballer, at least going to have a go at him. He's already got him playing football, the kid, and he's only like one or two or something. Like he's got him kicking ball around already, sort of thing. And I said, mate, my little Moo, I said, he's got 2 left feet, bless him. He said he's absolutely hopeless at football. I said, but you want to see him cast a rod. I said, and that's all that matters to me.
Yeah.
I ain't worried about him.
I've seen one of your videos actually where he was casting the one and he got it smack on the spot, mate. Absolutely bang on it was.
Yeah. Well, that's gone viral, that video. That over all sorts of platforms. I keep getting people sending it to me where other people have actually somehow nicked it off of my TikTok and then put it on YouTube. It's on YouTube. It's on Facebook, and I never put it on YouTube or Facebook. And I think it's Oh, it's got it's probably knocking on 10 million views or something over all platforms, that video.
Bloody hell, that's some views, mate. Wow.
Yeah, but like I say, that I'd only taught him to cast the week before. I'd literally, there's a video on my TikTok. If you go through it, there's a video of him and he's you can see where I'm teaching him to cast and he's not doing it. I'm letting him do his thing with it. Do you know what I mean? And then I'm watching him. He ain't got a bay alarm over, but I'm going to let him cast it without the bay alarm. Do you know what I mean? Open, just so he smashes the lead into the floor, into the water. Do you know? Yeah, 100%. You got to, ain't you? And then the following week, towards the end of the session, when I was, we were blanking, mate. It weren't very good. We were down a little runs water as well, and where I normally catch loads of fish, and we were couldn't get a bite. So I said to him, "I'll tell you what, let's do some casting." So we put I put a 2 ounce lead on, or 2 or 3 ounce lead on, and that was it. We used to cast him. Towards the end of it, he was casting it, And I thought, do you know what? Next week I'm taking him somewhere where he's going to fish solid bags. And he's going to do it all. He's going to do the lot, So I took him down to this little match lake. He had 23 bites, Eric. He had 23 bites. He had me in the lake at one point. I fell in. He had me in the lake, up to me waist. Yeah, mate, it was brilliant. We had 17 carp, a few tench, lost a few, but yeah, it was just epic, mate.
Yeah, but I suppose that as well, man. It's not all about the fishing; it's about making the memories as well, isn't it?
100%, bro. And obviously, like I say, where I said about like the camera and that, where I always
Yeah.
get things, I catch things on video. I've got me falling in on video, and obviously I'm making loads of little videos of him running to his rod when his rod's ripping off, and
Yeah.
yeah, it's wicked, man. To be able to look back on that, it's one thing that I wish that I could look back on. Do you know what I mean? Because I've got nothing. I don't even. I can't. I've got nothing to look back on from when I was a kid, really.
Yeah. Yeah, man. That's brilliant, isn't it?
Mm.
So, what's your lifetime goal in fishing, Brad?
To be honest with you, mate,
Ooh.
it's a good question. I haven't really got like a main, like, I want to do this, you know, like I've not really got that, you know, like I'd love to catch a UK 50, but that will come.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That will come. 100% that will come. The amount of time I put in, it can't not.
Yeah, but wouldn't your lifetime goal be classed as you want to sort of get Masons to the top if you can?
Well, I'll tell you what, there is
a lifetime goal.
Yeah, so that's what I was going to get onto. It's mainly Mason, mate, is my goal, you know.
Yeah.
Mason's my goal, you know. There's a fish down in Colchester. I used to fish a lake down there. I've actually got unfinished business with the place, but the big one in there is named after him.
Okay.
So it's Mason's Common. The lake's called Breaks.
Okay.
The lake's called Breaks Pit. It's a known lake, like around the Essex area, but it's on a caps on the caps ticket. But when caps first got breaks, I was going to join breaks before it was still it was a syndicate. Basically it was a syndicate, and all the fish had names, and the big common had a bit of a vile name. It was named. His name. I'm not going to say what it was, but it's a rude name. Yeah. A very rude name. For some reason, it didn't have a very nice name, right?
Right, okay.
So when Caps took it over, they didn't want that fish in there being called that, because it's a family-run thingy, and if a geezer catches it with his kid, you know, it's just not. It's not
that you can go around saying, is it? Yeah.
Nah, do you know what I mean? Well, I'll tell you what it was called. It was called. It's not that bad, but it is. It was called Cumface. Right?
Yeah, no, I can't do that.
Do you know what I mean? Right? That's what the fish was called, right? And some people still call it that because they're like stuck in there. You know, like how some people are like, well, that's his name and you can't change a fish's name. And the old syndicate members that were on there still call it that and whatever else. But they basically said if the first person to catch it when we get the lease on the lake can rename it. Well, I never knew anything of this, and like I say, I ain't that bothered about naming fish and whatever else, but I caught it. I caught it on my third night down there. It was my third night, second session. My first session I went down there, I had two fish. I had a double take. I had a 30 and a 30 and a 23, and I had them on, Eric, at the same time. Like I literally had them on like two rods, rod in left hand, rod in right hand, and I kept having to put one down. I was cranking them both in at the same time to the point where I was, in the end, one felt bigger than the other, so I dropped one and got one in, and then got the other one in. I managed to land both of them. But then the second time we went down there, same spot, had the big enough of it. That's what I was saying to you, like, it's not all about angling ability, like obviously I was fishing effectively and I'd found a nice spot what they were clearly feeding on. But you can't, like I say, going back to, you can't pick and choose what one comes along, and I'd caught it.
No,
so
that's right, you can't.
My mate rang me about a week later and said, "Here, you know that you can name that fish if you want." And I was like, "Oh, really?" They're like, yeah, you should name it because someone else is going to otherwise. And I was like, and at the time, Mason was only little. He was a baby, and I should have been at home more than I was. Do you know what I mean? And I kind of always still even today, when I'm out during the week, I often feel guilty for it, and for doing it, I should be at home. But like, I'm just trying to achieve goals, mate. Do you know what I mean? Like it's just I was put on this planet to go fishing, mate. I was here to catch carp.
Listen, you're at home at when it matters, mate. That's
Well, that's why I don't go fishing at weekends, mate. You know, because like it's me weekend times with family time. But yeah, so anyway, I managed to I named the fish Mason's Common. Yeah. After Mason, right? So I suppose my lifetime goal, once I'd named him that, he's nearly £50 now, that fish. He's been caught at like mid-40, and he hasn't been caught in like well over a year.
Mason catches Mason, eh?
Yeah, well, this is the thing, mate. Imagine him being able to go back down there, right, and be able to go down there and catch his fish.
Special, wouldn't it? That'd be
Mate,
special, mate, wouldn't it?
I'd cry my eyes out, I reckon. That's how much it would mean.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
no, that would be a special moment, mate.
Yeah, 100%, man. But like I say, and for Mason to be able to teach me one day, Eric, because see me old man, he's just out of the loop a little bit with it. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's a good angler, my old man, very good all rounder. You know, like he can turn these out to most styles of fishing. You know. But like, yeah, I just.
He's old school, isn't he?
Yeah, he's old school, mate, you know. But obviously now I'm like, what are you doing? No, mate, that's blunt. That hook's blunt. Throw that rig away. Bloody hell, I give you that rig 2 months ago. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, that's what I'm like of him, mate. Honestly, like I'll look at rigs that he's using, and he's like, I'll go down and see him, and he's had a few. Yeah, he's had a few. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, what are you using? He's like, oh yeah, I've had him on this, and he'll reel his rod in, or he'll have a fish like, whilst I'm there or whatever, and I'll look at the rig, and I'm like, mate, that's like, because I do change components and stuff at times, and I'm like, well, I ain't used them components for months. Like, that's a well old rig. Like, I'm like, bloody hell. And he's like, yeah, it's been on there the old time. I've had about 10 fish on it, same hook. But he's like, quality, yeah, but like I say, for Mason to be able to do that with me when I'm older, I'd like that. Do you know what I mean? You know, like.
Hopefully, like, you know, when he gets to the age where he's out there doing it, he can show you a trick or two, mate.
Well, that's it, mate. Do you know what I mean?
That's what you want, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%, mate. Yeah.
Yeah, it really is, mate.
So yeah, that would be my goal, bro, I suppose.
All right. Tell us more about your yearly trip to France, then, mate.
God, what do you want to know, mate?
Well,
my old man has a tendency to leave me. That happens. Yeah, we went. I'll go every year, mate. We'll go with my old man. It's our thing, you know. Me and my old man, we jump in the van and we go to France for a week. We fish together anyway, but not all the time because obviously I'm midweekers and he gets up at like 4:30 to go work and that. So, and obviously by the time it's the weekend, I'm all fished out and I'm chilling. Do you know what I mean? And so it's like we don't fish together all the time, but we fish like we're on the same syndicates and stuff, but both on the same. We've got 2 syndicates we're both on.
France is your thing, then your time, isn't it?
Yeah, man. Like France is our jam. Do you know what I mean? But we went to Abbey Lakes last year, and we're going to Abbey Lakes again this year. But the year before that, we went to. Year before that was a bit of a special one for me, to be fair. We went to Mayflower Pool.
Okay.
Don't know if you've heard of that one.
Yeah, I've heard of it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's about 8-hour drive. It's a bit of a mission. About 8 or 9 hours drive, but I blanked for the first 5 nights on that trip. We got Dad got on the fish like early. He had like a 45 on the first night and another 30, and he caught consistently like a couple of fish a day for the first half of the trip, and then it sort of went a bit dead for him. But at this point, I'm still like blanking 5 nights in. He actually does his back on the first night, lifting that 45 out of the water. So all week he's like done, basically crippled. And on the last night, I just started catching into the 6th night. I'd moved, and I kind of worked out where they were going to be. I was hoping on a weather change, and it come in, and everything just come together, Eric, in these last 2 nights for me. Yeah. I ended up catching like 8 fish, I think I ended up on. But the very last night, my old man had enough, mate. The weather was awful, and this was the weather I was waiting to come in. And he said to me, like, look, mate, I'm going to go and get a hotel. So he booked a hotel half hour down the road. So he's left me on the lake on my own, pretty much. There was one other bloke on the other side. but I was there on my own sort of thing, and I knew what was going to happen. I said to him, "You're going to come back in the morning, and I'm going to have fish here of a lifetime, I'm telling you. Yeah, or I'm going to catch a fish of a lifetime through the night, and you're not going to be here." And at the time, I was a bit gutted that he was going. I was trying to get him to sleep in the cabin across the way and all sorts, but he weren't having it, mate.
He wanted a bit of comfort, didn't he?
He wanted a nice pint of draft, and he wanted a nice cooked dinner, mate, because we'd roughed it all week.
Right, yeah.
And a nice warm bed, yeah. So he says to me, "Don't ring me in the morning until 6 o'clock." No, he said, "I'll be down at 7 to come and get you, yeah, in the morning," because it was it's Friday night, going into Saturday morning, we're leaving. He said, I'll be down at 7. Don't ring me before, because I want to get my head down, because I've got to drive back, yeah. So I was like, yeah, all right, no worries. So about 12 o'clock comes round, I've landed a PB, like just under 50.
Oh.
Yeah, like obviously I'd been to France a few times, but never caught a 50. So obviously I think before that was like 45, 44 something, yeah, just under 45 was a PB out there. And so I had a 48 pounder. Ended up doing all the photos on my own, did it all self takes and got it back. And I didn't ring him. Yeah, and I thought, do you know what? I've just done all that on my own. He weren't there. I was wounded. Yeah, I was like, one of them, mate. Never mind. I got good shots of it. I was well chuffed with the shots, and I got some videos, and it all come out really well. But So then about put the rod back out. 3 o'clock in the morning, it's rattled off again, and I've landed an absolute donkey, mate. Yeah. What did it go? 56. It's one of the biggest commons in the lake. Yeah, like it's actually there was only 3 50-pound commons in there, and it was one of them. Because before I left, I checked on the wall in the hut, and it had a little split on its tail. Sorry, and it was the fish. But at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I've sacked it. And I'm sitting there now, and I'm like, I've got to ring Dad. You know, he's got to come down earlier. He's got to see this fish, because I'm like, it's the biggest fish I've ever seen.
Buzzing, isn't it? You're buzzing, aren't you? Fucking hell,
it's nearly 60 pound. You know, like it's a pucker looking fish as well. It ain't like your average French fish. You know, it was a proper clean, well in proportion. Like it was a pucker one, mate. Yeah, and I was over the moon, mate. As you can imagine, like
perfect specimen.
Oh, mate, it was just everything I'd gone there for. I went for a 50-pound common, you know, like that's what I wanted, a 50-pound common.
Yeah.
Because like a lot of mirrors out there are all pretty basic, aren't they? You know, this is why we go to Abbey Lakes, because Abbey Lakes is different, mate. Abbey Lakes is like catching the fish I like catching here out there, but bigger.
Yeah.
You know, Abbey Lakes is special, man. I do like Abbey Lakes for the stock. You know, it's like Farlow's. Abbey Lakes reminds me so much of Farlow's. It's very, very similar in the way it is, you know, like the way it fishes and the style of fishing, and even like the stamp of fish, the stock, like they're all proper ones. You know, you will catch your average looking French fish in there, but you'll catch some epic fish in there as well. Like the one my dad had a 50-pound common out of there, mate, and absolutely, it's on his. I think it might be his profile picture. Yeah, it is his profile picture. They're just pucker, mate. But yeah, so I managed to get him down a little bit earlier. I ended up getting him down at like 6 in the morning instead of still at 7. But I was ringing him at like 4 o'clock in the morning. Like, get down here at 6, mate, because I've got a donkey in the sling. And it was cool, man. And we done that together and all that. And then so that was
again with that, Brad, making memories again. You know what I mean?
100%, mate. I've got so many memories with my old man.
Yeah.
Mm.
So right, the last thing I'm going to ask you tonight, Brad, is what was the worst thing that happened to you whilst on the bank?
God, mate. The list is as long as my arm, I reckon, mate.
There must be what's the funniest one then?
Well,
I thought it was funny.
Well, I took my nan fishing, right? I took my nan. My nan loves fishing, bless her. My granddad died a good few years ago now, and they used to always go fishing together, and she don't really go anymore.
Okay.
Like my mum and my stepdad will take her away for a week down to like Westwood Lakes. Was it Westwood Lakes? Yeah. She'll go down there and she likes to do a bit of fishing and all that, but like I thought I'd go and take her fishing, right? And I was with me missus. I'd only just got with me missus. At the time, we were it was all quite new, and I said, "Come, we'll go take me nan fishing." So we took her fishing, and I've booted my keys in the lake. I put the key, I've had a bite, and I've jumped up, and my keys come flying out my pocket. But the swim had like loads of rocks in it, and I thought I'd kicked a rock in. I didn't even know at the time that it was my keys. I heard something go in, and so it turned out, packed up, we went back to the van, load the van up to get out of there, and I ain't got no keys, have I? So I'm like, mate, I don't know what to do. And I'm in like deep in Norfolk, like miles from anyone, you know, and I'm like sitting there thinking, I'm going to have to call a locksmith, I'm going to have to get a key, I'm going to have to leave my van here, I'm going to have to get someone to come pick me up, I'm with my nan. I'm sitting there like, I don't know what to do. But my old man, mate, never fails to help me out, man. When I need him, he's there. Do you know what I mean? And he drove from Ely. He was in Ely working, and he drove all the way down to where I was, and he was in the lake up to his neck for probably the best part of an hour, trying to find my keys, mate. He was finding rods, bank sticks. He found 2 sets of buzz bars with alarms on them. Everything you can imagine, apart from my keys, landing nets. Wow. Like, mate, the things he was pulling out of the margin, like, it was deep, you know? And he literally, in the end, he was shivering, mate. And I was saying to him, Dad, just get out. Do you know what I mean? Just get out of the lake, man. We'll just write it off, man. We've lost in it. Like, just admit the fail or whatever, defeat or whatever. And his eyes lit up. And I looked at him, and I just knew he'd got him. He'd managed to hook him. You know the key ring? One of the key rings on the keys had hooked in his sock.
No way.
Yeah, mate. And that's how he got the key. And one of the key rings, there was a dodgy key ring on me keys, and it got into the thread on his sock, and that's how he got it out.
I've got one like that where it's open a bit, isn't it?
Yeah. And it caught him, but Bully fell in the lake at like 1 o'clock in the morning when I first got him, and I jumped in after him, fully clothed in the winter. And mate, honestly, the bank from the waters, like the water level to the top of the bank, was probably a 2 foot. The water, deep margins, but it was a drop. Do you know what I mean? Like, and mate, honestly, the second my foot left that bank and I was in midair, about to jump in, the little fucker popped up. And I literally jumped on top of him. I jumped on top of him and I was like, no, I could have just grabbed him. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They always say, mate, don't jump in after a dog.
Well, no, panic takes over though, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, they were spawning at the time. The lake was spawning, and they were boshing all over the place. And I heard something, but it was like right under my feet. And I was like, it was pitch black. And I was like, what was that? And I looked, and I kid you not, Eric, I put my head torch down, mate, and all I could see was bubbles, but they weren't fish bubbles. They were bullseye bubbles.
Oh, mate.
But I think probably the worst thing that's ever happened, my old man took me fishing years ago. I must have only been about 8 or 9. And we're fishing on the river and he's on his box on the pole. And he slipped a disc, mate. No, 2 discs or 3 discs he slipped. And when I say I had to get him, bearing in mind I'm 8 years old, I had to get him off his box and get him into the van and pack up all his kit. And then we had to drive to the hospital.
Wow.
But yeah, that's probably like the worst thing. That's like, mate, to be honest with you, I fell out of a tree. I fell last year. Last year, I fell out of a tree and landed on a fence backwards.
Oh,
yeah. When I say landed on a fence backwards, Eric, I mean my heels hit the back of my head. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Like it folded me in half, mate. I broke 3 ribs. I've done all my kidneys. I put a massive cut in where I landed. You know, like where there's a bit of 4x2 on its edge. Yeah. I had 2 cuts from both edges. You know, like the 2-inch. It was like the 2-inch surface. As I've landed on it, it cut me, both sides of my back as I folded round the bit of wood. I couldn't do anything, mate. And this is what I go back to about climbing trees. If it's only because I'm not like a big muscly geezer, but I'm well strong in my back through work, and I'm very muscular in my back, and it's the only reason I'm telling you now, Eric, if I'd have buckled myself to the point how I didn't break my back, I do not know. I would have been there for hours, mate. Yeah, absolutely hours, because I wouldn't have been near my phone. Helpless, sitting there, paralysed, pretty much. So this is why I say sometimes climbing trees, man, you've got to be careful. Like there's a swim down my syndicate. There's two swims down my syndicate that me and my dad have named. And one's called Left Hand Fallen, and one's called Right Hand Fallen, right?
Yeah.
And the reason this is because there's a great big tree, and it's one of the only trees on the lake that you can get up, right? Well, me being me, I'll climb up a tree if it's a broomstick thick, yeah? Because I'm only a broomstick thick anyway, I could get up them, do you know what I mean? But I fell out of this tree probably 15 foot, yeah? I was up at 30 foot. Yeah, I must have been up at 30 foot up. Yeah, it was an old conifer tree. Like, well, is that no? It was a conifer tree it was a rotten tree. It was a rotten tree. Put it that way. And what do you call it? I fell, and every branch I was grabbing on the way down was snapping.
Wow.
It was like something out of a film, mate. It felt like I was falling for about 5 minutes.
So that cliffhanger, was it cliffhanger when he jumped off the cliff into a tree or something?
Mate, honestly, I landed. I landed about 15 foot from the floor, still in the tree.
Wow!
But that's the tree where there's a swim to the left of that tree and there's a swim to the right. So left hand side's left hand fallen and the right hand one's right hand fallen. But yeah, when I fell on that fence, my old man had to come down, pack all my kit up. I had my rod rattled off whilst I was laying there as well. Couldn't move. I couldn't get to the rod in time. Managed to get to the rod eventually and lost it.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, that's probably the worst thing that's happened to me, mate. Falling out the tree on the fence.
Well, that's been a very good, interesting convo tonight.
Yeah, man.
I've got no more to ask you at this time, but I'm sure we'll get you back on another time. And
mate, I've chewed your ear off for too long, and I
go. Yeah, no, absolutely fine, mate. I love it myself personally. I do. Most people here, I can say they do. Whoever that was, bless you.
That's my missus.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure, Brad. I think everyone's learnt a bit out of it.
Yeah, well, like I say, man, I've got so much more to talk about another time, but my brain, like I say, is absolutely full of it.
Yeah, no, it's good. I'm sure that we're going to do a part 2 with you, mate. Anyway,
once I catch Big John, mate.
Yeah, Big John and Little John, eh? Have
the
Little John on the
left hand
rod. Little John on the left hand rod and Big John on the right hand.
God, imagine bracing them, mate.
Oh, that's job done, isn't it?
Oh, bro. That'd be nice, wouldn't it?
And it's been a great one, Brad. Really interesting, mate.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you having me on, man.
A lot of people in the comments I've been watching, like, great, yeah, lovely. They've learned bits and pieces out of it, so which is what we want.
Yeah, I haven't been reading them, mate, to be honest with you, but
yeah, no doubt me and you'll catch up in a week anyway.
Yeah, definitely,
tomorrow, as you know, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm out
definitely.
tomorrow for a few days.
Yeah, go on, bro. Yeah, man. I'll definitely be hassling you through the evening to see if you caught anything.
Yeah, it's cool, man. It's cool, not a problem. And we'll see what happens, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not out this week. I'm working away this week, so.
What's the old man say? I will this weekend on my blunt hooks, Brad.
Don't worry, mate. I've got some Sharpies for you.
Yeah, man. All right, Brad, we're going to leave it at that, mate, yeah?
Yeah, no problem, man.
Cheers for coming on, buddy. It's been a pleasure, yeah?
Yeah, it's been a pleasure, bro.
Yeah, and you, mate.
Thanks
we'll
for
catch
having
up with a week. Yeah, no worries at all, man. You're more than welcome. So we'll do a part 2, don't worry. That'll come soon.
Yeah, man, and good luck for this week, mate.
Yeah, cheers, buddy. Thanks for coming in, yeah?
No problem at all, man.
All right, mate. We'll chat for the week, buddy. Take care.
Yeah, sweet, brother. Nice one, mate. Bye-bye.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Everyone else in the chat, thanks for all the likes, gifts, comments, and yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. There will be more to come, and thank you very much. I'll catch everyone later. Laters, Brad.
See you, mate.